My name is Matthew Todd, and welcome to Inside the Scale-Up. This is the podcast for founders and executives in tech looking to make an impact and learn from their peers within the tech business. We lift the lid on tech businesses, interviewing leaders and following their journey from startup to scale-up and beyond, covering everything from developing product market fit, funding and fundraising models to value proposition structure and growth marketing. We learn from their journey so that you can understand how they really work, the failures, the successes, the lessons along the way, so that you can take their learnings and apply them within your own startup or scale-up and join the ever-growing list of high-growth UK SaaS businesses. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Pleased today to be joined by Luciana, co-founder of Cheers Contracts. Great to have you here today. Looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me. Very pleased to be here.
No worries. Looking forward to finding out more about Cheers, what the platform is, what it does, and how you've been able to get it to where it is today. And to kick things off, do you want to give people a little bit of background as to what Cheers Contracts is, and perhaps a little bit about your background as well?
Of course. So just to give you a bit of background about what we're doing is we notice people still struggling when having contracts in front of them or negotiating them. So we wanted to put things together that were already in the market, but unlock them to empower the negotiation of their contracts so they can feel more comfortable when dealing with them.
Cool. I see. That sounds interesting. We'll get into more detail about what exactly that looks like, how it's different to other solutions in the market as well. But what's your background? What led you to creating this platform in the first place?
Sure. So I studied law and I always wanted to help businesses. I enjoy helping the people that do. And well, I started working in a law firm, as many lawyers do. And then I jumped to the corporate world where I work in Equifax, a company that has the biggest center of innovation in data analytics in America. And it also had a data breach. So everything that can happen in a tech company happened at the time I was working in there. So it triggers on me on how to put things together, right? The idea of Cheers. So I saw the struggle with my colleagues when negotiating contracts. I saw what happens when you don't have the contracts in the right place with a contract management of any other tool that helps you to get them done. And I also saw how data can be used for finding new opportunities from unlock a loan for a person to decide whether to do a marketing campaign in which neighborhood and offer different product in a different way. So I just said, well, contracts are a great source of data, and let's put these things together. So a contract management solution that has also a data analytics approach and put the industry highest standards at the lens of a click for our users. So that's how it started.
So kind of two key points then by the sounds of it. One, challenges over contract negotiation. And then secondly, the kind of value and opportunity that data and insights around those contracts can provide to a business. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So every contract has the same structure, the price, the term of delivery, the term of that contract, when it starts, when it finishes. And it could be something like normal for everyone, but it unlocks very insightful information for your business. And knowing that data, you can get better, right? And who doesn't want to improve performance for their business and expend less money and get better results?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have kind of an example of different types of businesses then, the way they're able to use that data?
Sure. So we are targeting SMEs. So companies that already have a product in place or a problem solving. And well, they have a different members in their team, normally a team of 25, and they don't have a legal team in-house. So they use our templates to get them done, or they hire a lawyer for a particular case, so they got their template. and they want to put into a solution for standardizing the whole process, but also to provide key insights for their decision makers. So to give you an example, what is the turnaround of contract or agreement? When did you send the offer? And when you get that offer signed and the money in your bank? And if the process went very well, then fine. But if you feel like the process is too long and you are not getting paid at the time you need, then maybe there is something you can improve. So get paid the next time easier and faster.
Yeah, I see. So it could actually be highlighting, cash flow problems in the business by looking at that contract lifecycle and data.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with the idea for Cheers, then, what was that founding journey like? How did you take it from idea to actually getting something off the ground and attracting those early customers?
Well, we're not the exception of any founder. So Cheers started with this data bridge and the idea of putting things simple for decision makers. When I was working in Equifax back in Argentina, I'm from there. And well, I decided to move to London without this English you're listening right now. So in the morning I was working in Cafe Nero, and in the afternoon I was doing English course. And the reason being, it was not because I didn't have any savings. I was getting paid very well in Argentina. But I wanted to pitch to customer every single minute and tell them the idea I had in mind. And so they were saying, cheers, I hope you made it. I trust you will do. So that's the idea of Cheers behind that. Something you celebrate, something that is easy to get, and something that is also kind of formal, right? Because you had a previous conversation on that. You're not assuming something. So then when I already had the idea and I had the name, so I registered with as a way to get started the journey. And then the next thing that it was very, very complex, it was finding the right team. So I started getting more data about how to build tech companies because I'm not a technical person from the tech perspective. So that was the first challenge. And the second challenge was to explain, to go well with the communication, not having the right English and speaking with professional investor, with professional people. And that was the second challenge. Well, the third challenge was launching Cheers. So before that, we set a consultancy company and a waiting list for the product. And well, that's how the early beginnings looks like. And now we are closing the round. We have an amazing team. We already have early adopters, and we definitely are out of the ground, but the process is just getting started. So pretty exciting as well.
Yeah. It sounds like there's quite a few challenges that you've had to solve to get to this stage, which is really, really good. I'd be kind of interested to know what that kind of investment journey has looked like. How are you able to find investors and get them interested in your idea as well?
Sure. So I was not an entrepreneur. So this was also a beginning of a new career for me. When I started, I didn't know what meant an exit, a SaaS, or the different sector of VCs, which now I think, how can I start a company without knowing this? But I didn't know it. And hopefully I was in any networking event, so I could meet as many people as possible. And all of them were saying, well, it seems you need to do an accelerator program. So we did it on eWorks. And then it seems you need to have an advisor. And so we had it. And it seems you have a user experience that help you with the user experience and journey, etc. So we had it. So it was for me starting from scratch, and now I'm advising companies. I'm a mentor of a company. I'm a mentor of Innovative UK for women in innovation, and I become a kind of expert. Although it's complicated for me to assume that role. But I found myself giving good advice to people that they take and enjoy and is useful. And I just want to encourage anyone that has an idea to get started as any way they can. And only by doing it, they will realize what is missing. And they will find amazing people on the journey, from the founder's perspective to get feedback, to the client's perspective to improve your product, and to pitch into investor to find the ones that are more aligned with your vision, and of course your values. So do the journey with you, because this is a roller coaster. The highs are very highs, and the deeps are very deeps. You can go down very down.
Yeah. But it sounds like networking then really played quite a large part in not just
Totally.
connections you make, but your learning as well.
Definitely. Well, I'm like-minded people that understand where you are up to and your journey. So you help each other, and that's a kind of pillar for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of spreads the word about what you're doing, but also lets you look at those people that are further ahead than you as well, and understand, what all those different components of the business could look like or should look like in many cases.
Yes, absolutely. And it always brings to the table that to keep moving and to keep the hustle. You definitely need to have a big why behind, so you can surf the wave in a successful way. Because that's the thing, it's going to be always successful way. You will be never the same person you were the day before that problem arrived. And if you have a learning mindset, you definitely will overcome that issue, that problem, or that opportunity, depending on your point of view, of course.
Yes, absolutely. I think you're completely right in saying, as long as you know why you're doing what you set out to do, what the problems are that you're trying to solve, you will always learn, iterate, and improve along that journey, whatever that may look like.
Definitely. Yes, absolutely agree.
Yeah. So contract management, there's a lot of different companies with different platforms, different products. So what makes Cheers different? Why does the world need another contract management platform?
Yes, definitely. Right. It sounds like you guys are not doing anything new. I mean, PDF were invented like 20 years ago, electronic signature as well. It seems like there isn't any new on the market, but it does. And it's Cheers, right? So the first question we identify was how come there are plenty of options for you to get the contracts right, but still people doesn't know how to get this done. Like when to send the contract, how to overcome clauses changes by a client or a supplier, when to do a follow-up, how to send the first email to your client saying, well, I'm about to send you this contract. Are you okay? Like a term sheet but for clients. So the second thing we realized was, so the solutions are not enough for people, because they still need an expert to get those contract management solutions in place, or whether to pick one or others, because some of them are focusing on the legal side, others for the payments, other for the AI, but none of them are something you can get it done and keep focus on your business, which is what makes your company grow. So we put the things together. We know that contract management solution is definitely important because it gives you efficiencies and efficiencies, reduce you the cost, the chance to make mistakes or just not to know what you are agreeing to. So the first thing was, okay, we need definitely to put a contract management in place. So that's how we put templates, e-signatures, and we put a lot of focus on the user experience, so they start and finish the contract on the simple place. The second thing was data. And understanding the contract as a source of data helped us to show the customer, the user, the paying person, to see which are those insights, those KPIs, those analytics that are making their business either to grow or not. And the third things was the industry expert insights. Those kind of questions you always do as a lawyer to your client to understand their business, their project, and their concerns. So we put these three things together, and we came with Cheers to help people negotiate contracts by providing them a contract management solution with a data analytics approach, and that provide them insight all along this process so they can get better and better. And that is our killer feature, right? Helping them in an easy way for us as an expert. It was a super owned solution for them, for any person negotiating the contract. And for us, it's very insightful seeing how people is getting more confident when negotiating a client agreement or a partnership agreement. They have more data for them, and it's their data, which is good.
Absolutely. I think having used a lot of different contract systems before in terms of signing contracts people have sent me or the other direction as well, a lot of them can be very static, and that negotiation can be challenging, not just in terms of the conversation that you have with someone, which usually is relatively easily resolved, but then working that back into the contract, making sure those changes have gone through. It all feels like a painful process, and you always have to rip up the previous version and start again with some of these systems.
Yes. I mean, I like contracts, but normal people maybe will say, I just want this to finish. I'm suffering this contract when it should be a celebration, right? Because it seems you either have a client or you got a partner for achieving a project together. It should be something you celebrate and then learn from it to get the next one easier. But well, it doesn't happen very often.
And I think the user experience point that you brought up a couple of times is interesting, because I think when anyone thinks of contracts, a good user experience certainly isn't the first thing that springs to mind, right?
Yes, definitely. I used to watch Steve Jobs' video about user experience when they introduced iPhone. It was interesting because they were saying, okay, we are not inventing the wheel. Phones are already there. I remember when iPhone came into the market, there was BlackBerry, and BlackBerry was a desired product. Everyone wanted to have that one. And today, BlackBerry is no longer in the news, and that's sad. And maybe it was a better product at the time, with, I don't know, better antenna, better buttons, better product. I don't know, the plastic or the material they were using, but the user experience that Apple put in place was a game changer. And today, people don't have any time for wondering how to get things right. Where if the button is not clear, they will spend a few seconds, not even minutes. And if they don't feel confident with them, with the solution, they will abandon in the half of process, even though they pay for it. So it's definitely something not new, but we need to keep in mind at all time when we are trying to make something different, to make sure it's something simple to be used for anyone that is not an expert, but even more doesn't like the thing.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely. I think, yeah, people are used to things like the iPhone and consumer web and mobile applications, and I think that has definitely carried across to business applications that they're now using every day as well. They expect the same, high quality of user experience from those products now as I think, even just a few years ago that wasn't the case, and the business systems were, typically very, very poor UX. But I think these days, then, yeah, people do have a lot more expectation and see the benefit because of a better UX as well. They are more productive.
yes, yes, and also other thing is because the world has become something complex. It's and also very easy to kind of penetrate the market with this no code solution or OpenAI, the ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Everyone with an idea has the option to try out a new business. So standards, of course, are higher, and on the other side, you really need to know your why, your product, what is the problem you're solving, so you can make it very, very simple. If you see the user experience of ChatGPT, it's super simple. I mean, you will get it there. It's like you started knowing how it worked before starting, and that's another kind of challenge every tech founder or product owner needs to have in mind: user experience, and make things as simple as possible so it can be understanding by anyone. And if someone wants to get it complex, of course, you have an upgrade to offer them that is more suitable for their needs and expertise. But the first approach must have very simple.
No, completely agree. And yeah, on the subject of AI, as you bring up Chat GPT as well, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on what role that could potentially have to play in contracts. As I think we've seen examples online of people trying to use AI to create contracts in the first place, perhaps, or even on the review side and data side as well. From both sides, I'd be interested to hear how you think AI could be used, or perhaps where it's heading in the future as well.
Sure. Well, I love it, and I cannot be more excited about the process or the moment in life is bringing. I remember the first time I saw Google. It was in a friends of mine. Maybe I was playing Barbies or something. It was very, very young, and it was, oh my
Yeah.
God, you can search anything on internet. And before that happened, my father was buying a dictionary like Wikipedia, but in cities. Something that for young people it's an unknown.
Yeah.
And then anything you wanted to look up, it was there. It was on the internet. And well, now OpenAI bring that to us. So we have the luck to see that two big milestone in tech and be part of it. And that's the new. I mean, you either get it or not, but you definitely will need to be part of it in the short time future, because it just change how we get things done. And from the tech perspective, it simplifies everything. It brings up a powerful solution for anybody that wants to have the first draft of anything you imagine, even a contract. And from the legal perspective, it also simplifies us because we can integrate with them and be kind of 3 steps ahead. So either you make friends or you are out of the party. And definitely we want to be part of the party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I see a lot of people posting online, and you see people that are very enthusiastic about it, as well as people that are just kind of dismissing it, but in quite a fearful way, saying, oh, it can never be as good as me that does all of this manually. But I think you're right in saying that it gives you that head start. Like so many
Sure.
smart people are using it to get the basics in place for whatever it is they're trying to produce and
Definitely,
create.
yes.
And then they add their expertise on top of it. And I think that's where the value is in productivity.
As any innovation product, I found some people quite skeptical and or scared by this solution. But
Yeah.
technology and AI is there for helping us and not to replace us. In a way, we definitely had added value. So for those who were just copy and pasting without putting their soul and heart, definitely will be replaced because they didn't add any value.
Yeah.
But for those who were always trying to think out of the box, trying to be innovative, trying to put their creativity from the expertise, because everyone can be creative, right? A doctor to get sorted a sickness. I don't know, an artist to do a nicer canvas, a lawyer to
Yeah.
approach in a different way a case of study. So it comes with our human being, right? We are all creative people. But if you leave that aside, a machine will replace you. So
Yeah.
that's my thoughts.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's going to be interesting to see at this time how people adapt to AI and technologies, whether that's building on top of something like OpenAI, AI, ChatGPT, or whether it's developing their own models in house. I think people are now fully aware of capabilities, and as you say, the really kind of smart people are building something on top of it that still allows them to add their own unique value perspective.
Yes,
On
yes.
top of those capabilities that you now have access to.
I'm also aware that will be a kind of crisis for the industry because it will bring new players. Those players that were not ready to adapt, they are at risk to disappearing, right? Because this this is here and this is here to stay,
Yeah.
and it's take it or leave it. And for those not ready to take it, it can be a bit challenging for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder whether perhaps it also opens up new opportunities, though, if it's easier to start to produce content using AI to help you become more productive. Does that almost shift the emphasis to reviewing contracts? If anyone can create one using AI, does the review part become more important to make sure actually the quality of the contracts is there?
Yes, yes. The good thing is it's very unlikely they will get it not right, right? So to give you an example, if I ask to ChatGPT to create a client agreement, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And the better your prompt, the better results you'll get. Of course, and again, you need to be a kind of good expert to write a good prompt so you get a better result and you're
Yeah.
aware of what kind of quality you got as a result. Same way that happened when you were searching something on Google. The better keywords you're using to search something, the better results it brings to you. So yes, it's gonna be it's being a game player, a game changer.
I think it is going to be interesting to see how it develops and how different types of businesses are impacted. But for Cheers, then kind of focusing back on your platform, I know you're kind of relatively early stage, but yeah, you mentioned you're kind of just closing the round, starting to invest in building out the product with early customers. What does your roadmap look like for Cheers? What are the kind of the features that you see you kind of being able to add to the platform to add more value to your customers?
Yes, definitely on the scales perspective with integration, and of course with OpenAI integration to simplify even more the process. That's from the product perspective and new features. And from the company or business perspective, we will be launching in new jurisdictions And just as a way to support that, nowadays you cannot be local. Of course, you
Yeah.
still need to win your mother market where you started, which in my case is the UK. But our clients has their clients in different countries, so we need to be adapted and still support their business in a global scenario and with a global perspective, bringing them a bridge for them to go with their business anywhere. So
Yeah.
yes, we don't have all the jurisdiction will be opening because it's kind of bringing to us. We are having new clients in different countries, and well, we are kind of surprised in a positive way. And based on that, we'll define where are those next steps. But definitely our investment is for securing this prime global expansion and go after those markets that are in the high need of simplifying these contracts and getting insights to close their deals faster than before.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And yeah, it's certainly a trend that we see as well, is that globalization, alongside changes in working practices, people working remotely. I think more and more companies now are becoming more global, realizing that their workforce, but also their suppliers, their clients, their investors, like that whole team around them, that whole
Yeah.
ecosystem can genuinely be global. And I think that does bring new challenges with it, whether that's hiring or contracts or moving money or whatever that
Definitely.
is. But it brings a lot of opportunity, though, and we see a lot of people making the most of that.
Definitely. Our team is global and our clients are as well. So we cannot be, for hiring talent, global approach, but for getting clients, local approach doesn't exist. So
Yeah,
yes, it needs to be consequent between the both of them. We are the same company, so
yeah, yeah,
we cannot do one thing in one perspective and the other in the other one. So it needs to be aligned.
yeah. You have to be global now, and I think from a legal perspective and a contract perspective, I imagine that creates a lot of challenge for many companies. So actually, it certainly makes sense that globalization in terms of contract management is something that you focus on, because I imagine that is definitely going to become more and more of a need with companies expanding globally.
Yes, an NDA is always an NDA. It
Yeah,
might change few clauses, of course, but the structure, the key points that needs to be covered, like intellectual property, the scope of the project, when it start, when it finish, it's always the same and needs to be there because you are providing something in exchange for something else. And that equation is always the same and it repeats over and over again. So definitely
yeah,
that's a good thing for us because we can scale easier and faster than maybe other product needs more compliant in place or more experts in place. And
yeah,
even architectures firms needs to have a local firm to launch in a new country because of the regulation. And we don't have that problem, even though we are a legal tech. So of course we want to take advantage out of it.
yeah. No, absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. And for any founders listening to this, what advice would you give them? Firstly, in terms of contract management and making sure they do have the right contracts and protection in place.
Was a good question. If they are in early stage, that I know they are very low risk version, but the consequences can be quite big, particularly because you don't have many clients, and if one of them doesn't pay you, you might be in trouble. So having a contract in place, it might change your month, no, or even your year. You can get started for
Yeah,
free and get an NDA, and that's gonna be good. And for scaling up startups or SMEs, even large corporations, Having visibility over contracts and team is key. Regardless the solution you're using, you might be not interested on having analytics or insights about the business, but definitely having transparency, visibility, and traction of your key metrics is way important. If you don't have the budget, not the time, try to track those three things you might identify that are important for your business or industry. I put it in a spreadsheet. It's a great way to get started. Even for us,
Yeah.
it was a great way to get started. And if one day you find it useful, that I trust you will find it, because you will start seeing numbers, and numbers never lie to you, then Cheers is a good option. But there are some others, and just need to know your business and know your problems, and try to find a solution that better suits to that. That's the advice. No, always have contracts in place as an overall advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you say, early stages, protecting that IP, but then as you start to get clients, making sure those agreements are right, and then as you start to kind of expand your team, making sure those are there as well. And as you say, once you do that, there will be a lot of data that you can choose to extract, and it sounds like there's some quite interesting insights that companies could derive from it as
Yes.
well, which is really interesting. Yeah.
Yes. And one thing that might be super obvious, but it is not when you get on the track of the business, that sometimes is quite busy by times, is please do set the scope of work. Have that uncomfortable conversation that includes what the service will include or the product will be look like, and what you will
Yeah.
delivering. Because most of the problems between these parties comes because they didn't set, or they didn't have that conversation in the early beginning. So they just said, well, I'll provide coaching services, but they didn't say
Yeah.
of what, how, why, and how will be delivered, in which format, if it can be reused, resold, distributed, etc. So simple as that. Use the same thing you use for saying what you are about to do, and then put it into the contract. And that will save you a lot of time and unhappy clients.
Yeah, I've seen people make that mistake before, where they're keen to onboard someone, but actually the contract that's been signed is quite vague. And then as soon as they get into delivering the work, the client suddenly expects a whole bunch of other things that weren't discussed to be delivered, and the contract doesn't accurately reflect that. And therefore, there's a grey area where you're ending up doing more work than you wanted to, but the client is also disappointed because then they're not getting what they were trying to get out of it. So neither side truly wins in that situation, I don't think.
That what happens, and
Yeah.
more often than you can imagine.
No, thank you for sharing that so far. I think it's been really interesting to hear that kind of perspective on the contract side of things, but also the Cheers journey so far. And just before we do wrap things up, that'll be interesting. Is there any other advice you would give, other founders, whether they're on the early stages as you are? What other advice would you give, someone with that idea trying to get it off the ground?
Yes. Well, the first thing is having a plan, as simple as it can look like. I have a phrase here in my desk that said, "An idiot with a plan can beat a genius without it." So that applies with a business canvas, with a notebook or a spreadsheet. Please do have a plan. And as you grow, keep hustling, keep going. This is a roller coaster. Dips and downs are there, and sometimes are very, very extreme, but it's totally worth it at the end of the day. And by having a plan, you can stick on it, and on those bad days, you remember you have a plan and you are achieving good stuff on the way, even though you have a bad day. So resilience, having a plan, being organized, and just keep going. Not other secret, and you will get there sooner or later.
I think that's good advice. As you say, there will be those highs and lows as well, and that plan can definitely help you stay on track. So no, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your time today. It's been really interesting conversation, and I look forward to hearing more about the Cheers journey in future as well, seeing how things grow as you look to kind of pursue that globalization approach as well.
Thank you, Matthew. It was a real pleasure being here, and I also see what's going on in the future. Please stay around.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Inside the Scale Up. Remember, for the show notes and in-depth resources from today's guest, you can find these on the website insidethescaleup.com. You can also leave feedback on today's episode, as well as suggest guests and companies you'd like to hear from. Thank you for listening.